Welcome to the Sister Street Show with Mary Nunnally and Sharon Aguirre, a docu-series, interactive show, and virtual playground where we explore topics around entrepreneurship, online and in-person events, and the games that can be played with all of it. Follow a series or subscribe to the quest.
All right. Well, welcome back, everyone. We are here back on the Sister Street Show with Mary Nunnally and myself, Sharon Otagirl, and we have a very special guest for this series. You know, we talked about nurture sequences in the past and how do you have an audience, nurture an audience, but then once you're starting to build your ohana or community, what do you actually do and how do you actually bring more audience to where you are living so that you can showcase what you do? And that is Shereese Alexander's specialty. So we are so excited, so honored that she has joined us. Shereese, welcome.
Hello. Thank you so much for inviting me into the Sister Street podcast or show, whatever you guys are calling it. I'm really excited to be here and talk today.
Yay. Well, we are excited to have you. And when Sharon and I were thinking about like who would be a great guest for our audience, you were one of the first names that popped up because not only are you amazing in the world of joint ventures, which we'll probably invite you back to talk about that later, but also with lead magnets. And that's one of the things that people struggle with. Like, what is a lead magnet? Why do I need to have one? And what do I give somebody? Like, so what? It's a lead. And if you're not in the business world, when you say lead magnet, people just kind of go, hey, what? I remember having a conversation with a friend of mine who's a very brilliant woman and a college president. I'm like, oh yeah, and you got to have your lead magnet. And she's like, what are you talking about? So if you could start, Shereese, by first telling us a little bit about yourself and then explaining to our audience what a lead magnet is and why it's important, that would be amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I totally understand because it is a little bit of businessy jargon, but that's okay. We're going to break it down because everybody knows what this is. They just might use their own word for it. So like Sharon and Mary said, my name is Shereese Alexander. I'm a business networking coach, which means I love helping online business owners connect with one another to get more clients and customers through joint venture partnerships. Again, joint venture partnerships is another kind of jargony thing, but basically you work together with other business owners, you share your audience together so you can both serve them even better, and then everybody wins. It's a win-win-win situation, like they would say on The Office, and it's really awesome. One of the big keys of that is having a great lead magnet. So if you want a partner to promote you to their audience, to their email list, to the people on social media, and you're like, hey, I have this cool thing coming up, I would love it if you could share it with your people. Well, you're not going to share the actual offer, right? You're not going to start with something that's paid if people don't know you, because that feels really spammy and weird. So you always want to start with some kind of free sample, for lack of a better word, before you ask them to come into your restaurant. You want them to just get a little bit of a taste. And that sample is exactly what a lead magnet is. A lead magnet's just a sample of your brilliant work. And sometimes it's called a freebie or an opt-in or a freemium or like a downloadable or stuff like that. But it's just something that's a free sample. It doesn't have to be anything you download. It could be a strategy session, a discovery call. There's so many, and I keep going on because I have a list of over 70 different lead magnet ideas that fit in this category, but I took a list of 100 and narrowed it down to 70. So there's just like so many, right? There's so many you could do. But the big idea is that people get to experience you before they pay to work with you. So that way they see what they're getting. It's a little bit of a demo. So it's really important because you want to build up that know, like, and trust factor. You're going to get that from your partner, right? If your partner is saying, hey, here's my friend Mary, here's my friend Sharon, you're going to want to listen to them. That's already giving you some credibility. But then you have to offer them something that is of value and something that they go, wow, this is really cool. I could really use that. And I think one of the challenges that happens with lead magnets, for at least for business owners, is there's this fear of how much do I give away for free, right? This is a free thing, but I want them to buy my thing. So how do I just give them like the bare minimum? Like instead of giving them a whole sample, maybe just one piece of cheese. You know, how can I give them like the tiniest bit and then somehow convince them to come in and get the whole shebang? And something that my mentors over the years have told me is that in this case, less is not more. You want to give your best stuff up front, not like your whole like $3,000 coaching program, but you want to give some of your best tips, some of your best advice up front so people know what they will get when they work with you. And they're going to say to themselves, wow, if this person gives me this much value and quality for free, I can't imagine what they can do if I pay them, right? You build up so much goodwill that way.
Oh, I love it. So
Amazing.
what would be your tip for somebody just starting out? Like, what would be the first thing that they should do if they're like, okay, so now I understand what a lead magnet is.
Mm-hmm.
I want to create one, but I don't know where to begin.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I mentioned a little bit why it's important for partners, but let's talk about why it's important for the person creating it. This is how you're going to build your email list, which is the lifeblood of an online business. And I would argue any business, really, because it's the way that you communicate with the people who want to hear from you and they volunteer for it. So the lead magnet is important, and you're going to have more than one. You're going to have as many lead magnets as your audience could possibly handle to get more and more people in the door. But when you're just starting out with your very first lead magnet, you want to ask yourself a couple of kind of foundational questions. So first, you want to figure out who is your target market or your target audience or your ideal customer or client. Who's the person that you want to work with the most? The next question is, what's your secret sauce? How do you want to serve them? How do you want to help them? So let's assume you already know this stuff, right? You are maybe an attorney and you know you want to provide legal services to online business owners. So you've already got that settled. Now you're going to ask yourself, what exactly do they struggle with the most? And there are a couple different ways you can go about doing this. One way is you could just Google it. Just literally Google what people would say, what your ideal customer or client would say when they're looking for your solution. Then seeing what comes up and kind of going through what other experts have shown and seeing where you can add your own unique voice. I've even seen, and this is if you're really, really new and you don't even know your secret sauce yet, you can just put together a list of resources, which I call a toolkit. So let's say you don't even know. You don't know what you don't know. You know you want to help them. You know, we'll go back to the lawyer thing. You want to help them with legal services. You don't even know which legal services they all need, right? You Google it, legal services for online business owners, and you see like a million things. Well, you go through, you take the top 10 things you see over and over and over and over, and you make a PDF that says the top 10 legal things you need to know if you're an online business owner, something like that. And that's your lead magnet. And it's just links to those other resources you found. And you tell them, I'm not an affiliate for these things. I found these things and I put them together. I curated them for you because you're adding value by saving time. So, I mean, if you're like super duper duper new, you could do something as simple as that.
Oh, I love it. Sharon, questions?
Love it. Yes. So, as always, our experts unpack so much. So, I'm just going to recap just a little bit in the fact that when you are creating a lead magnet is that little sample, Shereese said, but it's got to be the best sample you've got, not just the little cheese, but your sauteed scallops that you are giving to your audience. And then, yes, there's all kinds of options that you can do, but that the one that you want to pick is the one that's nearest to hand. And if you have no idea, then just Google it and answer the top questions that come up with your expertise. But you want to build that trust. That is amazing, Shereese. So tell us, when people are trying to decide what is the best lead magnet, you gave us some examples if they're just brand new, but what are some of the challenges that people come up with when they're trying to decide which one, and what advice would you give if they're struggling and they've had a few, but they don't know which one's working, etc.?
Yeah, great questions. So one of the things to think about is the type of content that you're going to provide, and it should definitely answer a big burning question. One of my mentors, Ramit Sethi, who is the founder of I Will Teach You to Be Rich, which sounds scammy, but it's not. He calls it a crunchy solution because it's just like something that's so tangible. So a lot of times with business owners, we think something along these lines. I know somebody says X is the problem, but Y is really the problem. It's the problem behind the problem, and it's the thing they really need help with. So I'm going to make a whole entire lead magnet course product offering on Y, on the thing they really need help with. The problem is they don't know they need help with that, so they don't care about that. They know they need help with X. So that's actually where you want to start. Another mentor of mine, Ryan Levesque, the creator of the Ask Method, describes this as Band-Aid versus cure. Your lead magnets are kind of a Band-Aid. right? It's like, oh, I know you have this boo-boo. Here, take this Band-Aid. It's going to help you. But the offer or the big package that you sell, the full meal, is the actual cure. That's digging into the why behind the why and those deeper problems and the stuff that your expertise really solves. But people don't care about that initially. They just care about the crunchy solution, that quick win, that thing right up in the front. So my first thing to think about would be, how do you solve that burning problem with a really quick win? However that happens is going to dictate the way you package that. For example, if you are a therapist, then maybe the way that you package that solution is not a toolkit. It's not a downloadable PDF with 10 resources or 100 resources. Maybe that is some kind of strategy session, or maybe that's a pre-recorded training that you have that helps people kind of address that initial issue. Maybe it's a practice they could do, a meditation, some exercise of thinking through their past, or who knows what, that they can actually do to get that quick win. If you are a website builder, right? Instead, you've got a software, you do a service, you come in and you build their whole websites and make it look all beautiful. So maybe what you would do, to give a sample instead, is you would do an audit. Maybe you offer like 15-minute audits. I'll tell you you send me the link to your website and I'll send you back what you can fix. You could even make that an automated software that goes through and scans their website and tells them what they can fix. Or you could do something where you say, here's how to make a great about you page. This is what you need to do. And here are all the steps to make a great about me page on your website. These are all things I've downloaded, by the way. So so that's something you could do. That would be a great sample. So as far as what the actual lead magnet looks like, whether it's a checklist or a 5-day challenge or a webinar or a discovery call, really depends on the very best way that you can solve someone's burning problem with a really quick, crunchy solution.
I love it.
We both are loving on you, Shereese. Amazing.
Yes.
I think we also see, right, Mary, why we need an expert, because there are so many options out there. So, Shereese, when is it the right time to say, there's so many options, I just need to call Shereese?
Always. No, just kidding. I was expecting a totally different question. I was expecting a totally different question, and my answer was always to that one.
Well, answer that question too that you were expecting.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I thought you were going to say is, like, when should I start building a lead magnet if I'm not sure kind of the content, or maybe I know the content, but I'm not sure that packaging. And my answer to that is like right now, is like yesterday. You just pick it. You pick the content that you want to try out. And something you can do is say, here's the content I want to try out. And I have a couple different ideas for how I want to package this. Make all of them, and then test them one at a time and see who comes in and who responds to which one. You asked earlier, Sharon, about how do you know if it's even working? And Mary and I talked about in a project we were doing about the statistics, the numbers, the data. It's really important to look at your data to know if things are working. But if you're just starting, you don't have data. You're getting that data. So all the data you're collecting is just baseline. It doesn't mean anything until you get enough, but you got to start somewhere. So you have to make lead magnets. You have to put them out in the world. You have to see if people like them. And then you can decide what's good and what's not good. But you cannot do it in your head. And, theoretically, you can't theoretically plan what's going to work and not work. When should you call me? A lot of people come to me when they want a really simple step-by-step way to do something. That's kind of my superpower. I can take something complicated like creating a lead magnet and make it really easy, simple, step-by-step. Here's how you do it. Mary knows that I have a course all about this called the Lead Magnet Level Up course. It's a step-by-step, teaches you 3 different simple lead magnets, but very powerful lead magnets that you could create in a weekend. And it's really great, I think, for people who are new or intermediate in kind of the online business world, because they probably don't have a lot of lead magnets, or they don't have lead magnets that are really great, or they're not sure if they're great, right? So this kind of solves all those problems. If you're more advanced in business, my assumption is you've got a ton of great lead magnets. If not, you should take the course.
Definitely. And I love the way that you break things down, Shereese. And the one thing that I'm going to jump back on when we're talking about measuring and stuff too, it's great to collect data, but you also have to know what success looks like for you. So I could have all the data in the world, but if to me a success is 5 people buying my course, and I see nobody's buying my course, but I get 150 shares on social media, it's like, okay, but that wasn't what I was aiming for. So it's much like it's having rules. And that's one of the things that Sharon and I talked about on the episode that's going to be dropping next week is you got to have clarity and you got to have some rules so that you know what you're measuring and then you know what success looks like. So that's another factor.
Yeah. And also how to interpret that data and also what data matters and what data does not matter. So when you're starting out, just collect data on everything because you don't know what's going to work and what's not going to work. And the beautiful thing about data is it lacks emotion. There's no emotion in it. It's just numbers on a page or a spreadsheet in my case. So it's a way to kind of take away the, oh my gosh, people didn't buy or people didn't download or whatever, to just say, wait a minute, how many people did this? How many people did that? Just look at the numbers. The other thing, and I heard this from somebody on my list just the other day, they were asking questions. Oh, this was yesterday. All the time blend. This was last night. Somebody was like, here are all my numbers for the latest, giveaway that I was in. Here's my opt-ins. Here's the size of my email list. Here's the number of clicks I got. Is that good? Is it not good? How does this compare? What about everybody else? And it was like, I actually can't answer that question of if it's good or not, because it depends on you. You cannot compare yourself. And this is so important. This is why I'm going to say it twice. You cannot compare yourself to what other people are doing. You cannot compare yourself to what other people are doing.
Yes.
You can look at it for inspiration, for knowledge, for guidance, for maybe, what you want to do in the future or what you don't want to do in the future. Some of my mentors, I've looked at some decisions they've made and I've thought, I don't want to do that. I definitely don't want to go down the road. I don't like how that turned out or how it felt or whatever. So there is something to be learned, but you cannot compare because you're in different places. If we have two people with 5,000 people on their email list, for example, and one person has 200 people opt in, the other person has 20 people opt in, you might be like, okay, well, one person did better than the other, boom. But there's so much more to it. Like, was it aligned to the people on the email list? How engaged are the people on the email list? Did they follow through? Were they a bunch of junk emails that someone purchased? Like, there's so many variables that comparing yourself to someone else is just not helpful.
Oh, I love it. And I think that applies across the board for anything in business. It's like, I can't compare my business to Sharon's or my business to yours. I can compare my business to what I did last year. And have I improved based on what I'm looking at for myself? Or are my customers still with me or are they happy? But I can't compare to somebody else. And it's just like, I might have 100 people on my list. Okay, great. Well, I just started building a list. Shereese has been doing this for a long time. She's got 10,000 people on her list. Great. But do they buy anything? Do they, so it's like my 100, if 10% buy, that's actually
it's better
bigger
than 1,000 who never buy.
Exactly. So I love that you're really reinforcing the don't compare yourself. So thank you so much.
Yeah, and also, Shereese, I love the scale of it. They talk about, so I'm an economist, and so they talk about always what are you measuring and what is significant and what variables are being measured, right? So it can show 100% increase if you're going from 1 to 2, but 10
which
to
is
1,000,
awesome.
right?
Yeah.
Percentage, but you still want those numbers, right?
Yes, and you know what? And just on this point of comparison, I've yet to see. Okay, I've only seen this go two ways when people compare with all the businesses I've worked with. One way is people look at it and they go, "Oh man, I wanted to get 30 people like so and so, but I only got 15." And you're like, "But you don't know any of the other factors here. Like, you don't even know that's gonna." The other stuff, so that's people feeling bad about themselves that they didn't accomplish what someone else accomplished, which wasn't even their personal goal. The second thing I've seen is that people use it as a way to be like, "I did better than them, right? But how much better did I do than everyone else?" But like by a factor of how much did I do, you know what I mean? And it's just like, either way, it's just weird. It doesn't serve you and it doesn't build you up as a person. So I think comparison is good for like a, objective, let's look at numbers and make a pie chart out of it. But other than that, like, yeah, comparing yourself to yourself is the way to go.
Yes. Well,
Love it.
We are almost out of time already. This has been a fantastic opportunity to chat with you. I know, Shereese, you mentioned you've got a lead magnet of 70 different lead magnets. If somebody wanted to get in touch or get your lead magnet or work with you, how could they do that?
They can go to jvjoy.com. That's JV like joint venture, jvjoy.com. And they can just click that little contact me button and that goes straight to me.
Wow, I like it. So any last parting tips before we wrap up, and then I'll let Sharon take us away.
Yeah, my final tip is that lead magnets are really important to continue to bring new people into your business, to give them a taste of what you can do, to showcase your expertise, and to try out new ideas before you overcommit yourself to making courses or programs or products or services that people don't want. If they don't want the lead magnet, they probably won't want anything else. It can save you a lot of time and heartache. And it doesn't have to be that hard. So I just want to encourage anyone out there who's listening, who's like, oh, I know I need to make that, but I don't even know where to start. Like, just contact me, come to my website, download the idea thing, like, get involved, because it's important, and it's not going to be that hard for you. Trust me, you can do this, and people will thank you for it.
Oh, I love it. That's such a nice spin on it, because so many times they're like, it's overwhelming, I can't do it. And you're just like, yes, you can. So Sharon, why don't you close us out?
All right. Well, more to come on all the things lead magnet and how and why and what you can do to continue to build your business. And of course, adventure with us on how we do it. But as Shereese said, done is better than perfect. Just get your lead magnets out there. And her JV joy is because when you see that other people are struggling the same way you are, when you see that other people are succeeding the way that you are, but when you're comparing yourself to yourself, you will find the greatest joy and success. And then you can always reach out your hand, and Shereese will be right there to help you. So thank you so much, Shereese, for being with us. We will be posting Shereese's official bio so you can see all the cool accolades that she has done, as well as the lead magnet gift that she has given us so that you can up-level your business. But stay connected to her. Come back and watch the show, and we'll see you again soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
We look forward to having you tune in next week for the rest of the conversation. Thanks for listening to the Sister Street Show with Mary Nunley and Sharon Otiguro. To learn more about the topics discussed today, visit sisterstreet.show.